This is Morten from INKISH TV, and today I have the pleasure of talking to Jim Rosenthal from just outside Philadelphia.
I am Jim Rosenthal, as far as I know. I'm the president of PDC Graphics, a commercial digital offset mailing and fulfillment company outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania on the East Coast of the United States. Right, so we do a lot of everything, I guess. So we're mostly ink on paper. That's most of what we do. But then 50% of the paper we put ink on goes out the door in the form of direct mail. And then we also do some warehousing and fulfillment, kitting, management, things like that. And then we also do, as you mentioned, wide format.
These two segments of the market, it seems that they could be very different markets. Or are you selling to the same customers both?
For the most part, we're selling to the same customer. When you look at a large organization, company, nonprofit, what have you, we look for companies that are going to buy across all of our offerings. So they use a little bit of everything.
That has not been too bad during the COVID, has it?
So actually, our commitment to inkjet and wide format was a huge savior for us during this whole COVID. We do a lot of work in the healthcare area, and fortunately, they needed a lot of things because they were open and they had people coming in and they were busy, and they needed all sorts of materials, both soft signage and display items and a lot of printed materials as well.
How big a company do you have, and what market do you serve? I mean, I understand what segments, of course, but you say also healthcare and non-profit, things like that. But can you be a little bit more specific about your company and what companies you serve? So
we serve, again, across a large variety of companies. So non-profit could be education, higher education. It could be religious organizations, anything that involves fundraising, development, anything like that. But that could also manifest itself in the form of healthcare, because a lot of healthcare organizations are nonprofit. So they have both the functional business part of what they do, which is servicing and treating patients, but then they exist because they fundraise. And then some of those organizations are part of larger university type organizations, so they have research and a lot of things like that. So these are most of our customers are larger organizations that have a lot of different disciplines, and they utilize us in a lot of different areas. We were at 48 before the pandemic hit. Now we're at 35.
Okay, so it has hit you a little bit.
Well, I think there's two parts to that. It did hit us. I think it hit most companies, and there was a brief 24-hour period where the state of Pennsylvania required us to actually be closed, and so we were looking at having to lay off and shut down until we were deemed essential. But then we took the opportunity to probably shift things in terms of how we operate our business. So I would say that we're a better company than we were 2 years ago, because we're staffed a little bit differently, a little bit more efficient, and a little more appropriately for what we do.
The markets and the competition you face on a daily basis, is that a strong competition, or how do you see that?
Yeah, it's a very competitive market, because a lot of things that we've done and your audience will know this, have become commoditized. So I often joke that our go-to-market strategy is we try to get an increasing share of a decreasing market.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the burden is on us to figure out how to do it better, how to be more cost-effective, and how to offer our customers what they need, but in the form of a very easy to access transaction. So to make their experience with us better and make them want to use us over someone else.
I can't help think about, if you look at maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, I think that a lot of companies saw that hardware was where they really wanted to invest the most of their money. But today it seems shifting to, in part of being more and more efficient, the software part becomes more and more important. Is that also something that you see?
I think I've always seen it that way. My background prior to being in the printing business was computer science. So,
of course, you should know, right?
Right. So I kind of think, hardware is really, really important. You have to have a really good, flexible, dynamic hardware platform, but that's not unlike the software that goes with it to support it. So if you're not leveraging software to get stuff onto the hardware, you're not doing it right.
The software that we see today from EFI, for example, and also from other vendors, seems to be developed very rapidly now, because processors get cheaper and faster, memory gets faster and cheaper, and that gives opportunities for printing companies to process data, even more complex data, in a way faster, and also giving new opportunities to customers. Does that resonate with you as well?
I think that the sophistication of the software today and the ability to piece together different, call it modules, off-the-shelf pieces, and integrate them together really gives an opportunity for a transformative relationship between customer and vendor.
How difficult is it to get data from computers onto paper in something that maybe look great or serves a specific purpose, and doing these kind of things? How difficult is it today?
Well, our business, we don't do a lot of transactional transpromo type printing, but we do a lot of data driven. So a lot of what we're doing, particularly as it relates to fundraising and development and recruiting, is really very data driven. We're segmenting our pieces, we're varying the images, we're varying the data on them, we're varying the ask. So that part has become, that's a very mature technology, I think, at this point. It's been around, it's evolved. I think where the innovation has really been is what you can do up front to actually get an order into process. The ability of someone on the front end to specify their piece in an interactive way, to review it, to see it before any human has touched anything is I think it's a really transformative experience.
And do you use EFI software for what you just described?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What software are you using?
We use their digital storefront, but it's their market direct product, and we integrate it with EFI Pace.
And it works fine, I hope.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, sure.
So I'm one of the few people that's been to almost every one.
Okay.
So I'm a veteran. As a matter of fact, hanging on my door over here are probably a collection of EFI Connect name badges.
Okay, so you're experienced. So are you so experienced now that you always get the same rooms and the same seats in the at the places? Or
no, we like the venue. It's a fantastic venue, and they do a really good job of putting together a great conference. So I hope I'm not in my room too much.
I think that the EFI Connect conferences have gained a reputation for being among the absolute best user conferences, and that is of course because of experience and because of what EFI delivers, but I take it's also because of the networking and all the things beside the conference. How is it for you with from that perspective? So
if you eliminated all the classes and all the events and all that surrounding it, and you just had the ability to network and interact with my peers, that's probably enough, right? That's a pretty good thing to have, to be able to spend 3, 4, 5 days with people of companies that are similar to mine, that are different than mine, that are using the same technology, same equipment, doing different unique things,
talking the same language.
But to be able to learn from them and come away with a minimum of one thing that I can use to improve my business, myself, my company, improve what I offer, my products, all of that. It's a pretty unique opportunity.
And when you, being a veteran, as you mentioned yourself, have you? One thing is that, of course, I take that you have got to know a lot of people at the EFI Connect. Have you also got into like business relationship with some?
Sure. Yeah. So I can give several examples. There are other companies across the country that we do work with. So we get projects in here that maybe are not exactly what we do, and I have a Rolodex of people that I've built relationships with over the years that I can pick up and call. There are opportunities when we don't know how to do something to pick up and call someone and say, hey, I think you kind of do this. Can you help us out? And so there's that relationship. There's also the idea that, when we're using some of this complicated technology, we don't know everything. So we can pick up and call other people who are using it. So that's really a good thing. And what's also interesting, I have some pretty close friends actually that have become close family friends that I've met over the years. The people that I now, travel with or spend time with, that is not work time. So over time, been able to build some pretty solid relationships.
If I should consider how that friendship has developed, I think that in the beginning you spoke more business, now you speak less business, right?
I think it's a good combination, right? It's you have a bunch of different levers you can pull and push, and I think that's helpful to on many levels. I can give you an anecdotal answer from something that just happened yesterday. So I was talking to a friend of mine who I met through EFI, and we were just calling to say hello. He was actually calling to see how I was feeling because I had been under the weather with a cold. So, and while I was on the phone with him, I got a note that one of our paper vendors was out of a certain type of envelope, and there's supply chain issues nationwide, and certain envelopes are hard to come by. And so while I was on the phone with him, I said, "Do you happen to have 1,000 of these envelopes?" And he said, "Yeah, I have 2 boxes right here." I said, "Send them to me." So in the problem in that little time, there was a little social benefit, and I got envelopes ordered that I needed to print a job. So it's pretty amazing how that works.
For the people who has never attended an EFI Connect event, what can they expect? Is it easy to get into those relationships, and do you embrace new people, or is it a closed community in your opinion?
No, I think it's really, I think the people who go, they go because they enjoy going, and they go because they get the idea that it's a collaborative, interactive experience. I've never seen, I've never seen an example whereby someone is not getting a piece of information they can use.
For the audience who might see this film, and I think that we can both endorse going to the EFI Connect. It is a personal experience, it's a business experience, and of course a learning experience also, because I mean we skipped the classes and we skipped the keynotes right away, Jim, because we talked about all the other things. But I take that also the classes and the learning experience is something that is really valuable, because I mean everything develops so rapidly these years, and I take that it's an important part of it, right?
Yeah, so think about it from, if you were going to make a dollar decision, right? If you're going to bring a consultant in for 3 or 4 days to kind of teach you a bunch of stuff and tell you what's going on with your business, you're going to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a day, whatever it is. So if you look at the cost of going to Connect, including the hotel and the airfare and everything else, it's a pretty cheap way to do a pretty deep dive analysis in how your business is doing and get some really good solutions to some problems you have. So across the board, I think there's some incredible value.